how much longer can you put up with this ongoing saga?
Well, this is, you are right, this is an ongoing saga, Fred. It was not just our son, but I believe myself, my wife, our whole family was under detention, uh, not necessarily physical detention, but psychological, social, economic, because they were chasing us all this time, the security establishments. So we were not really free. We were hoping that as soon as the final decision is made, we'll see some light and freedom. But I think things have improved. It's much better now. Certainly, we would have preferred to see the end on November 9th, 29, but
Yeah.
it did not. But I think we are quite, patient. We have this steadfastness. We have learned to live this way for the last 4.5 years, and another 2 weeks or so is not that bad, and we hope that whatever comes up on November 18th and subsequently, it also fits in well with the fairness of legal justice here.
Right.
So this is what we quite optimistically we are hoping for.
I guess my last question to you, Momin, and again, I appreciate the time you've taken, Dr. Mahboob, to hear answer my questions. I know you're going through a rough time, but am I hearing it? That sounds like because he was only found guilty of the minor stuff and not the major stuff, that there is a plan if he is indeed sentenced, and this does go all the way to some sort of prison term for Momin. That sounds to me like there's an appeal in the works, or some sort of plan to challenge that ruling. Is that your sense?
Well, I do not know about that. It's up to the legal team really to know the legal, complexities. I do not know. I guess the team would perhaps assess, but according to the media, I think the defense team has indicated that they have this option. They will consider, okay, once they
Right.
know on November 18th the status quo, then they will consider. And as an individual, I do not have any say. I do not have that
Right.
knowledge and background.
Okay. Fair enough.
I suppose under Canadian legal system, you do get the opportunity for appeal at a higher court. This is my conventional understanding. Conventional wisdom would say that if it doesn't work out at superior court, then perhaps an appeal could be launched.
Yes.
With the Supreme Court. So I do not know. I think the legal people they would know, but I assume that could be.
Well, the predication for an appeal, Mahboob, generally speaking, Dr. Khawaja, is that the defense has to have a reasonable belief they can win the appeal. If they don't think they can win the appeal, they're not going to obviously bother with going through all that work and spend all the money and such. If he is found that there is no grounds for an appeal, and the defense says, okay, that's it, we did our best, how are you going to deal with that, knowing that your son is going to be guilty and have to fill out his prison term?
Well, I mean, we cannot, see beyond those things. If that is the case, then, as law-abiding citizens, even if it does not, appease you, even if it does not fit in within your, expectation, we have to accept whatever the judgment would come out of the court. So that's how we see it.
Well, I have to say it's been a trying experience for you, and I appreciate that you've been able to give us the time to discuss all the way along from the very beginning. It's been a long road for you and your family, and I don't understand how you can keep your cool and be so rational.
Well, we have to, Fred, because otherwise any emotional outburst or excitement does not really solve any problem. We have learned to live this most unexpected and challenging, experience in our life. I've never come across with this kind of situation of my family, other family members. So we have learned, we continue to learn, and I really appreciate your thought, your interest for us so many years. You have been very kind and considerate in extending your understanding and time and opportunity to me, and I really appreciate sharing these thoughts with you, Fred, as well. indeed I will continue to do in future wherever there's opportunity.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. Dr. Khawaja, thank you very much. Have yourself a good Halloween weekend, and I guess we'll talk again after the sentencing.
Thank you indeed. You're most welcome.
Thank
Bye.
you. Take care now.
Bye-bye.
That's Momin Khawaja, Momin Khawaja's father, Dr. Mahboob Khawaja, live on the line from Ottawa, discussing his son's sentencing. Momin Khawaja found guilty on none of the two most pressing charges against him, which of course involved bomb making and a plot in the UK. The judge was not satisfied that he knew what the devices he was supposed to be building were going to be used for, only that he perhaps built them. And there is still some contention about that as well, which is what that's sentencing. But evidently, he was found guilty of the actual motions of bomb making and such, but did not know what and when it was going to be used for, if it was going to be used something. The defense arguing that Momin Khawaja was in fact simply just following orders and did not know of the larger plot himself. So a lot to be said. We just heard from Dr. Mahboob Khawaja, who of course has been someone we've been speaking with since 2004 when we first learned of the story. Momin Khawaja has been incarcerated for 4.5 years in the Canadian justice system. He's been languishing in a Ottawa prison without trial until recently. And that is the issue that has not really been addressed so much in the open mainstream media, whether we agree with the charge or not. I mean, I've said from the very outset, perhaps Momin Khawaja is a terrorist, and perhaps he is going to be found guilty of these crimes and was in fact planning to blow people up and participate in a hideous terrorist act. Perhaps that's true, but does that mean that he should be forced to languish in prison for 4.5 years before we find that out? You would seem to think that Canadians have a fondness and a passion for their justice, and we don't want an American-style system wherein people can sit in prison for years before getting a fair trial. Indeed, we want expeditious trials in this country. That's not what happened in this case. There seemed to be a lot of hand-wringing and back and forth in what the prosecution wanted to do. And of course, this is the guinea pig trial of the Canadian Anti-Terrorist Act. They were going to find out, this is the first test run for them about it to see how it would work. And they came up a little short, I think, on it. But this is perhaps one of the reasons why this has taken so long. And as you heard Mahboob Khawaja say just moments ago, Momin's father, saying that he believes that one of the reasons this trial went on, his son was in prison for so long, was simply because they didn't know what to do. When they realized that they couldn't really keep him much longer than the time he'd already been in, they had to make up new charges to try and hold him so they could figure out what they wanted to do. That's the allegation by Dr. Mahboob Khawaja, and from the outside of it, I can understand it taking a year maybe for the trial to come around, maybe 2 years, but no more than that. 4.5 years from the time he was arrested to the time he was found guilty. 4.5 years? Something's not right there. If it takes 5 years for us to convict a terrorist in this country, that doesn't say very much for our Anti-Terrorism Act, and hopefully we'll be able to fix that in future trials. On November 19th or the 18th, Momin Khawaja will be sentenced for his crimes. At that case, we'll learn the full intentions of the defense team, and we will be checking in with Dr. Mahboob Khawaja again at that time.